project this week. I've copied this African art lady onto this piece of 1/4-inch plywood, and I'm going to use the scroll saw to cut her out. Her body, her face, her neck, her arms, her midriff, and her legs will be black, will be painted black, and then there will be colors for the rest of this here. And then we will mount the whole thing onto a piece of plywood 1/4-inch thick. And that'll be our project. A nice piece of wall decor, if it works out, which I hope it will. But let's get into it. Now I've traced it on here, and I'm going to, before I use the scroll saw to cut it out, I'm going to go in and route out the lines and see how that works out for us. I don't think you can see the cuts in the wood very well yet. I feel like I should have used a thinner bit for these parts, but because I don't feel like, for example, her blouse is defined enough as far as the dip right here. I did use a thinner bit for her necklace, and I feel like I should have used that for the whole thing, but that's okay. And you can't see it very well, but I think it'll be distinctive later on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move over to the scroll saw and cut her complete shape out. I'll have to put drill holes here and here so that I can cut those parts out. Put my blade, my scroll saw blade in there and cut those parts out without going through her arm. In order to get my blade inside this hole without cutting straight through her arm, I have to loosen this top piece here, which makes the blade loose. Then twist this knob, and then the blade is free from the hold. There's also a slit in this base here that goes sort of like an L shape back into the side, and I can push the blade to the side, bring it forward away from the attachment, and then I can tilt the board down to get closer to get the hole closer to the blade. And then there we go. And then we can slide it backward, back into where it locks in, twist the knob toward me to lock it so it can't come out, but it's still weak. So you have to tighten this top part. There we go. There's the ping. When you get that ping, you know it's tight enough. So now that I've cut out these two inner parts, I'm going to cut around the edge. Now most people teach you that you don't cut on the lines when you're cutting with the scroll saw. You cut close to the lines and let the lines be your guide. I find it easier for me to be just try to get right on the line. It might be wrong, but that's just the way I do it. When I come to a curve, I do try to come close but back off a little bit, because it's easy to overshoot and then cut on the inside of the part where you didn't mean to cut when you're going around a turn. So I sort of cut all around it and then gently ease into it. Sometimes in the middle of cutting out a piece, I'm concentrating so hard that I kind of get tired. And if you get tired and you feel like it's getting a little tedious, it's best to just stop and take a break. You could just go straight off the edge of it and just turn off the machine and relax a little bit. So that's what I just did, just to, get my mind right. Okay, here she is. Sanded as much as I'm going to sand her. I softened her edges a bit, as much as I could. What I think I'm going to do is put black in these lines here, and then let it dry, and then sand off the surface so that the black will be deep in there when I'm ready to go to the next colors. First I tried to sand off the excess black by hand, and then I just realized I'm just giving too much effort to this. So I used my electronic sander and I put it on the lowest setting to sand off everything. Now what I'm going to do is make her clothes. This, what color is this? This scallion green. Her top and her skirt, I want to paint scallion green. I like this color and I hope it looks good on here. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to paint her head wrap this apple barrel Laguna color. Her necklace will be Tuscan red. I decided that the Tuscan red would be good on both baskets. So I went ahead and painted this big part at her feet the same Tuscan red, but I want to give it a little bit more design, I don't know. But I'm using bright yellow to see if we can give it a little bit of something. To give her a more dramatic color for her necklace, and I'm going to use candy apple red. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, if it's too many colors on her, whatever. Finally, we will paint her skin, just black. So this part right here is a little more tricky, so I'm going to stop the film here, take my time and get in closer. I also want to paint the sides, see what I want to do with the sides, and then we'll come back. Our lady is about about 18.5 inches long. So I thought, why not make a background for her that is 24 inches long. I found some scrap wood that I think Mark had left over from my door that he's making for my office. So I hope he doesn't need this again because I plan on using it. It's not perfectly cut, but I'm going to make it work for my frame. Okay, for my frame, the long sides, the two long pieces on the side will be 24 inches. The two pieces, one at the top and one at the bottom, will be, let's see, a little over 13 inches. So I'm going to stain these four pieces with perhaps dark walnut, maybe ebony. No, I think I'm going to use a black stain for these. See which kind, what I have actually, the color. It's going to be a black stain. But I'm going to go over this the backboard. I'm going to go with a light antique parchment. And see how that looks. I decided to use classic black stain from my selection. I thought it would work best with this piece of art. I did wet this wood down because it raises the grains, but then I forgot about it. Oh, it raises the grains so that the stain won't be splotchy when you stain your piece. Unfortunately, I forgot about it and it dried again, so I don't know how it's going to work out. And I'm not going to wait to wet it all over again. I'm just going to hope for the best. I'm going to let this sit on here for a little bit, and then I'm going to wipe it back just a bit. Wipe off the excess, and then I'll let it dry for about 24 hours before I start constructing it around the art piece. I ended up having to glue these little pieces of wood on the inside of each side of my frame. That way, when I put the frame together, the backer board will have sort of like a shelf to sit on. These two side pieces are very bowed. I don't know if you can see that, they're bowed. So what I'm going to have to do is when I sit the backer board in here, I'm going to have to squeeze it together with a clamp to try to get it to hold tightly in place because it's bent. I'll glue the lady on here in about an hour or two after this glue sets for a little while. And the last thing we need to do is to glue the lady onto the board.